Hello and welcome to another Monday of Miniatures Rambling with me, Dakian. This is Monday the 9th of November 2020. And let's start out with some finished painted minis, some ducks. I'm going to break the intro up into a few segments here because I've actually finished quite a few models and I don't want to crowd the camera with them all at once. So these are from, I forget, it's a company called Star Hat Miniatures. They're in either Australia or New Zealand. Sorry, I get them mixed up. Somewhere on the other side of the world anyway, the Antipodes. And they make these miniatures which are very exaggerated in their style, very comic, and you know, and that means if the sculpts are exaggerated and comic, I kind of paint them in very broad strokes as well. They're not intricately detailed, but I'm pretty pleased with how these turned out. They're good enough for the sculpts they are. So let's see what else I got. What do you know? Looky here. I also finished up these newly purchased hassle-free minis. Once they started right after I got them. We have the dwarves. We have a little dwarf with a crown and a rune sword here. And I painted his surcoat in stripes, just to break it up a little bit and to avoid having to do any more complex freehand. This guy is just really heavily armored. He's holding like a two-handed sword in one hand, but because he's so buff, and he's got a little bit of a fur coat on his back there. And then we have this guy who's even more fully armored, all armor, nothing else, just armor, and a big axe. This is the Hogman, who looks pretty gross, I hope, and has chopped somebody's head off with his big meat cleaver. And yeah, he has a little bit of armor on one arm for some reason. And finally, the Eagle Lion Man. The name of this model is Griffin. It's like a humanoid griffin. The eagle's heads and wings, and like a lion's legs and tail, but a human upper torso and arms. And I went just in different browns with the wings here. I didn't go for crazy colors this time around. I wanted it to be a little bit more naturalistic, considering what a fantastical creature it is. So, quite a lot done. But I'm not quite done yet. Well, and now for real, finally, this is the last finished mini this episode. It's not so much a mini, it's a maxiture. This is the huge snake statue in Reaper Bones that I got from the Bones for Kickstarter. And as mentioned, I've tried to paint it as a statue because it has all these cracks in it, and almost every single scale has a small crack in it that looks like it's been cracked because it's stone. It's not scale. It's actual scale. It's not organic. And so I painted it like, because it has the cracks, it's a statue, but it's an old statue that hasn't been maintained perhaps all that well, been standing outside maybe. So that's what I painted it as, if it were painted originally in very bright colors, but then it's become weathered. And the only stuff that's still bright is the eyes, which are, I try to get it sort of a gemstone effect. Not painting it in the like traditional way of you know, shading and highlighting with normal paint, but instead I've been using different types of metallic mediums and gloss paint and yeah, you know, various techniques, other techniques to get the gemstone effect. And yeah, I painted a little pattern, you know, with eyes and with pattern down the back here in a contrasting color. And overall, you know, I think it came out pretty nice. So that is a whole 10 minis finished this week, of which one was really, really freaking huge. I'm pleased. Well, hello there, this is me from the past. I'm speaking to you right now from the middle of the week while I was prepping these. I just wanted to point out something I've discovered about these Collector's Series D&D miniatures from Gale Force 9. It's not just that they've changed the branding, calling them Collector's Series instead of Limited Edition. They've changed the packaging and, well, the old models always came in a lot of pieces that were individually shrink wrapped, or at least the sprues were individually bubble wrapped, which made assembly sometimes sort of tedious, but at least they were very secure in the packaging. Now these come with just a piece of foam here that's cut out, and you have the miniature pre-assembled already. Now, this has certain advantages. Well, also, the plastic feels different. It doesn't feel like the old resin. I don't know if they've changed the formula. It feels a little bit more flexible, less brittle, which I suppose is good. A little bit more like plastic. I mean, resin is normally extremely just hard and brittle. However, it's not all advantageous, because in this box, what happened was, see, there was no other packaging. It was just this piece of foam lying loose in it, and which meant that this sword has broken off. See, it's clearly broken here, and it's supposed to go with this guy here, so you can see the hilt. This is where the sword goes. This is annoying because this is a little bit too thin to drill into to pin it. So I'm gonna have to try to just glue it on in some other way. I think just flatten this a little bit to make give it a larger surface to adhere to. I can't just stick it on like this. And yeah, so it's not all good. Still, I mean, whatever material they're using, the detail is still very good. And there's a little bit of flashing, but it's minimal. So, and there's very little warping. See, this spear is a little warped, but that's about it. And there is not much in the way of mold lines either. So there's both good and bad. And in other words, my, as I call it, love-hate relationship with Gale Force 9 continues. And here we are in the present day. I have prepped and primed the 8 new minis I've started for this week. We have some ducks here in the back row, and we have the Warforged, including the Lord of Blades here. And here's the problematic mini. I think I've glued it on. I sort of maybe used a little bit too much super glue, so there's a big lump of super glue. It's kind of obscured the top finger detail closest to the hilt there, and a little bit on the outside. It's the price I pay for a little bit of security in how well this is attached. Hopefully it's not something people will look at too much. But I think because it might be handled, people might touch it, this part where the bond is. I want that to be really, really strong. So, yeah. Better safe than sorry. And these will start getting some paint on them almost right after I finish filming this. There's a Kickstarter in the mail, or was, and this one is Midland Miniatures. It's a bunch of wizards, and this one is called Newly Graduated Wizards. I mean, the guy in this picked artwork doesn't look newly graduated. He looks kind of middle-aged, but oh well. So there's 8 minis here who, I mean, some of them have beards, but they don't look, they're not that long. And they perhaps look a bit on the youngish side. Now, this is a follow-up to a previous Kickstarter for apprentice magicians. So these are supposed to be the slightly older versions of those other models. So, glad that arrived. I can check off the box that Kickstarter has been completed. But these are not anything I'm going to paint right away. These will go in my stack of future projects to be determined when I will get to them. Instead, let's start up something else. So what I have decided to prep for next week is, well, some cleanup work. First off, the remainder of these ducks. There are there's 8 ducks left in this set from Star Hat Miniatures, which I kickstarted. And, well, I've done all the other however many they were, so let's finish it off. And secondly, because I painted the snake, let's move on to another big, huge model from the latest Bones Kickstarter, Bones 4. This is Moss Beard, the Treant. This is, unlike the snake, which was one piece, this is a really multi-piece mini. And yeah, this is going to be a beast to put together. It looks relatively clean and clear how to assemble it. We'll just have to see if it holds true. Yeah, so that should be enough to keep me busy. And that is also the end of this episode. So please click like, subscribe if you haven't done so, comment, share the video, and above all, be back here next week. Same day of the week, same channel, same doc again. But for now, I am signing off.